Alright, so the next two stories I'm going to tell you is actually has something to do with how the staff may judge you. Vuitton will never admit it, but I'm sure a lot of you have felt it. So the first story I have is, this was like a weekday. It was like I remember it was like an early Monday morning. So Mondays are notoriously slow. And I remember my manager telling me to keep an eye on those four boys over there by the belts. They were probably about 13 years old. Now, at Louis Vuitton, the belt section, especially in men's, is notorious for thieves. So we always have to keep an eye out on the belt section. But there's different ways that people look at this, because instead of saying that maybe they need help, she was like, keep an eye on him. And I know for a lot of salespeople, they might think that immediately, keep an eye on them, but also think that's only a $500 sale. I'm gonna keep my eye over here on the handbags where I can potentially make a $3,000 sale. Anyhow, I did approach the group, and of course, they're like 4 teenage boys. They're giggling and laughing as teenagers do. And it turns out one of the kids is looking for a belt. So I walk him through them, like, these are the most popular, this one's reversible, this is how you switch the buckle around. And he had no idea of any of the sizes, of course, because they are in European sizes. So I helped this young man, and then we went to ring up the belt. And I remember it was so cute because he had to call his dad, Kim, to tell him, I found the belt. Can you raise the limit on the debit card? Well, I realized, like, oh, you know, this is a special occasion. It's your first Louis purchase. What is the occasion? So he tells me that he made his first check on YouTube. Yay, good job. I'm like, that's amazing. The belt was, I think it was like $435. Anyhow, I do remember the kid said to me, he was very polite about it. He said, hey, thanks for being so cool with us, because I know we're just kids and probably no one thinks we're gonna buy anything. It was something like that. And I was kind of taken aback because I thought, whoa, here's this 13-year-old and different things. Like, he's more polite than a lot of customers who come in demanding. You know, I know it's not right to feel judged, and they probably feel judged but didn't throw a tantrum about it like some of our adult customers do. And I was also taken aback because I'm like, yeah, he was kind of pointing out the obvious, like, we come to Louis to be judged. Thanks for coming to Louis to shop and be judged.
Get back to work!
Let me give this a preemptive eye roll, because I'm about to tell you about the time my boss accused me of stealing. Yeah, okay, just a little backstory. I'm pretty sure at the time I was the only single mom working in Louis, and like, at the time too, I was the only one providing for my daughter. So why would I do something so silly as to try to steal to jeopardize my job? Anyhow, my boss, who was also the hiring manager, you know, I thought we had this like mom connection going on because we both had daughters. Well, boy, was I wrong. So here's what happened. I was coming back from lunch, and usually when you clock back in for lunch, if it's busy, they tell you to check in with the host if there's a queue. If it's not, it's like free for all. And I saw this gentleman standing at the sunglasses. He was nicely dressed, but dressed in streetwear. So by that, streetwear could be nice Versace jeans and an off-white hoodie. Okay, it might not be a suit and tie, but I remember I was like, he was athletic looking. I remember approaching him and talking to him, and he was kind of like, oh, I'm kind of browsing, but I also want to know if you have this item. So I pull up my phone and we start looking, but at any point, we never touched anything. Like, there was nothing in the store that he wanted. So we were looking, and I said, you know, I can't find it, but maybe it's in the other corner. For some reason, we went to the other corner because there were accessories here and there were accessories in the corner. So we walked to the other corner, and there was nothing there that he wanted either. So no big deal. He said bye and left, and it was less than 5 minutes. And I swear to God, we didn't even touch anything in the store. It was really one of those browsing but curious if you have this. So next thing you know, after he leaves, my boss is calling me back to the office, and she says immediately, where are the sunglasses? And I'm like, what are you talking about? She goes, the sunglasses. You gave that guy sunglasses. She's like, yeah, that customer, you gave him sunglasses. I'm like, no, I didn't. We didn't touch anything. She's like, yes, you did. Look at this. And she rewinds and she goes, look at that in your hand. What's in your hand? I'm like, that's my phone. And then I'm watching on the video, we walk over to the counter and I think I put the phone either on the counter or in my pocket. And she's like, and now it's gone. I'm like, yeah, that's my phone. And she's like, no, it's not. Where are they? And I was like, oh my God. What are you trying to ask me right now? She's like, where did you put the item? You gave them to him. I was so shocked. And I'm also telling you the story like I am surprised how cool, calm, and collected I am right now because so many thoughts were going through my head. Like, don't freak out because I'll look guilty. But like, why would I do that? Out of all the people here, why would I do that and try to jeopardize my job? I have a pretty clean record, okay? I'm like never been in trouble with the law, but I just couldn't believe it. But I did thought for a second, I had told her, why don't you rewind the tape? I don't think those sunglasses were on the wall. So she did. She's like, oh, yes, they were. So she rewinds. And what she was talking about specifically, there was a hole in the wall that in that time I was helping that customer, somebody must have noticed that was missing and went to tell her, or she noticed, I don't even know what. However, in this situation, she was trying to pin somebody, and that somebody was me. So she rewound and she saw that that spot on the wall was empty before I had walked up to the man. I think even before that man had walked up to that spot on the wall. And at that point she said, oh, never mind. I didn't even say sorry. And I walked away so dumbfounded, like, I effing can't believe that. And it sucked and it hurt because it was like, also I knew, I knew, I was like, if that man was dressed differently, I don't think we'd be having this conversation. And it was so out of the blue because I'll tell you so many times that there's a hole in the wall in the sunglass wall and nobody does anything for like 10 or 15 minutes. And so it was just, I still can't believe it. And I remember my boyfriend at the time, he was like, you better leave because now they're trying to find excuses to pin employees. They're trying to find excuses to cut employees. And that's you. So I repeated that story to him. He's like, I don't remember that happening. That's wrong. I'm like, yeah. As I repeat it now, I was like so dumbfounded, right? And I think just too naive. As you know from my last video, I was so shocked about this tax environment that most of the times, like, I just didn't know what to do. But I also felt like trying to fix the situation would just get you deeper in a hole. Because I already knew from the get-go, management was never on my side, hardly on anyone's side. And HR is never on your side. So it was just something I didn't bring up again. But I'm glad you guys know now. And you've heard in my previous video too, what her attitude was toward full-timers. Like, I don't want to pay you more than 40 hours. So it was, well, it like gives me a pit in my stomach feeling right now to regurgitate that story. It's all good. I wasn't arrested that day. Ding.
346 minutes later.
So this morning I recorded that video, and later in the day, this check came in the mail, and it's for a class action suit in Montoya versus Louis Vuitton. So it was settled for $500,000. Most of that money goes to the attorney. I looked it up. It is on behalf of all aggrieved employees feeling resentment at having been unfairly treated. The universe was listening to me when I was making my videos. Anyway, so it's for a meager $80. That's a good amount of money. I was actually going to bring in my watch to get repaired, my Louis watch. I'm also thinking, well, I don't want to give the money right back to them. So if you have any suggestions on what I should use it for. If you're to this point of the video, I thank you guys so much for watching. Again, I hope I didn't offend anyone. This stays between you and me. Have a good day, everyone. Bye.